This piece is again related to the Yoruba. This is from the Ogboni Society. The Ogboni Society is a judicial society in Yoruba culture, in Ifa, in the religion of Ifa. The Ogboni, this represents their strength, the blade. But the Ogboni had a secret society that's called the Oro. The Oro Society was responsible for policing the community, and especially people that abuse children, people that abuse elderly people, and women. And the Ogboni Society is a society, 16 is the sacred number in Ifa. It's 8 men and 8 women. The Ogboni Society is also responsible for the earth, for protecting the earth and taking care of the earth, which they call Onime. So this is, I wanted to bring this because it ties in with the weapons. And there's also, again, the Oro Society has its own martial art, which you won't hear about. There's no print. There's nothing on print. But people that are in that society know that. Now, I talked earlier about Orunmila. Orunmila is the prophet in the Yoruba tradition. And in Ifa, everyone understands what I say when I say divination. Understands what I mean when I say divination. But you go and get a reading from someone, if someone's reading your palm or tarot cards or something like that. The Yoruba have many systems of divination. And one of the systems, we refer to the system as Dafa. Dafa. Dafa means to throw Ifa or to cast Ifa. This instrument is Okwele. Okwele. You find it in Ghana, you find it in Togo, you find it in Benin, you find it in Nigeria, you'll find it in areas of Senegal. And this instrument is also in the diaspora. It's in Cuba. I don't think much of it was in Brazil. It's a different form of divination in Brazil. But anyway, this is the main divination for the divination instrument for the Babalawo. But the interesting thing about this, if you go to get a reading from a priest, they say they're going to do Dafa. Da means to cut or to throw. So da, if you sweep someone or hashtea someone, that's da. Okay? When you receive Dafa, it says that you're throwing Ifa. So when you get divination, this is thrown on the ground. That represents Orunmila. As I said earlier, before he was a diviner, he was a wrestler. So the language of fighting and the culture of fighting is in the religion, but it's hidden. You have to know the language, you have to know the words. So the tradition says that Orunmila, before he became a spiritual man, he was traveling all over Yoruba land wrestling with Eshu. And he wasn't making any money. He was beating all these people wrestling. No one could beat him. And his family was starving. And his wife was upset with him and said, "You're never home, you're not eating, the kids miss you, blah, blah, blah." And he said, "Was Eshu?" And Eshu says, "You got to change this." He said, "Well, what can I do?" He said, "You have to pay people. People have to pay you when they beat you." So that's when you go for divination to see the diviner, you pay him because he's doing Dafa for you. So Eshu, the trickster, Eshu is the trickster in the Yoruba tradition. Eshu tricks people into getting fortune. Or he tricks you into getting your life straight. Does that make sense? He tricks you into getting your life straight. Eshu is known as the trickster. He's known as the trickster. So Orunmila became a diviner and his whole life changed because now when he goes and wrestles, he loses, but people have to pay him. That's how good he is. So that's how the story again is woven into the traditional culture. The martial arts is woven into the culture. You have to understand the language and the symbolism. I wrote something here a couple of years back on Capoeira and the Orishas. And how this came about, I had a big presentation set up to do it at one of Master's, I think it was about Batizalo. And when I got up there, I couldn't say what I wanted to say. My mind kind of went blank. And he had been wanting me to speak about the Orishas, but I didn't really want to do that because at that time, I didn't know the crowd. And a lot of people get uncomfortable about that. I mean, he said, "No, you shouldn't talk about it because it's part of the culture." And when I got up there, I forgot everything. And this paper is what came out of my head, so I wrote it down. And what this is this talks about the different Orishas and how they affect your game in capoeira. And I'll try to explain it to you as best I can. If we have a few minutes afterwards, and I can take questions if you have questions on this. In the Yoruba tradition, we have what we call Ori. Ori is the most sacred part of your body. Ori represents your head. For lack of a better word, I'll say your higher self. In New Age people say your higher self. But Ori is the most important Orisha in the Yoruba pantheon. So every morning when we wake up, we hold our head. Your head is sacred. You don't just let anyone touch your head. You don't let anyone touch your head. The head is the most sacred part of your body. That's why when we kneel over and we bow, and there's a lot of bowing in Yoruba culture. If there's an elder that comes up, you never stand over an elder. If an elder's sitting down, you sit and you talk to the elder. When you greet an elder, you lay all the way down, you touch your forehead. That's called Mokoye Bale. So the head is sacred. Now the earth is sacred. I'm bringing my head to the earth and paying respect to the earth with the most sacred part of my body. So Ori in Yoruba tradition, again, is sacred. So we say this paper, I wrote, I said, Ori is your own personal style, your own expression of capoeira. Everyone in here may start looking like they're masters. They may start like that. But in the end, you have your own flavor, your own style. That, for me, would represent your Ori. Does that make sense? So it's your own flavor. And that's the thing that's very unique about capoeira compared to some other martial arts. You go to a lot of martial arts schools, everybody's supposed to look exactly like a teacher. And African culture is very different. You should have a standard thing. You look at African dance, you go to watch an African company, a ballet. Everybody's doing the same steps, but everyone looks different. So that an individual is sacred in the community. It's not that you just have to be a carbon copy of everyone else. The individual is sacred. So that's why your Ori is the most important thing that you'll ever have. From our perspective, from the Ifa perspective, your Ori is the most important thing. Again, your Ori is the most important. So that's where you get your flavor, so to speak, your expression. And then we have Orunmila, which I said again is the prophet. And Orunmila is your wisdom and your intuition of understanding capoeira. This can apply to anything in your life, any martial art. But for capoeira, I think you guys can understand it. Orunmila is your infinite wisdom of the game, your intuition, the thing that tells you what to do, what not to do, and it just comes out naturally. That's Orunmila. And then we say Eshu. Eshu is known as the trickster. Eshu Mashemio, Eshu Mashemio, Eshu Mashemio. That means Eshu, don't confuse me, don't play with me. Okay? Eshu is your ability to be unpredictable and tricky. That's what capoeira is all about. Capoeirista, what do you call it? That's Eshu. And then we have Ogun. Ogun is the warrior. Ogun clears the path. Ogun removes all the negative energy in your life. That's Ogun's Ashe. There's more than that. Ashe. It's another word it's said common in Brazil. That's a Yoruba word, Ashe. So Ogun is your ability to cut through your opponent's defense without hesitation. It's your strength and your explosion. So that means in capoeira, when you're playing the game, if you hesitate, boom, you get hit. So once you see your opening, you have to react. You have to move. That's Ogun. Oshosi. Oshosi in the Yoruba tradition is known as the spiritual hunter. Oshosi's implement is the bow and arrow, the beam. His implement is the bow and arrow. So we say prayers to Oshosi to keep us in alignment with our spiritual destiny. So you're not going here, you're not waving here, you're not going there. You're staying in alignment with your destiny. That's Oshosi's energy. So we say Oshosi is your ability to find your target with speed and accuracy. You don't hesitate to the movement. And then we have